Holy shit, what did she do to him? Lewis asks. We all just stand there for a moment, staring in shock and disbelief, before I finally look away and whisper, what are we going to do now? What will we tell everyone? The truth, duh, genius, Frankie answers. Darius sarcastically replies, oh yeah, sure. Hey Mom and Dad, guess what? The Tooth Fairy is real. She's the one that actually killed Jerome, and since we saw her, now she's put a curse on us and she's going to come back and get us next. Do you really think anybody will be stupid enough to believe that? Well, that's what happened, Marcus argues. It doesn't matter. As soon as we tell that story to the cops, they're not only going to think that we're crazy, they'll also think that we're the ones who killed Jerome. But we didn't. Try telling them that. Well, what should we say then? Before he continues, Darius opens the door and we all follow him out into the hallway. We all need to have the same story, so listen carefully. We can say that Malik woke up first because he thought that he heard something, and then he woke all of us up. We thought it was Jerome playing a prank or something, trying to scare us. But when we looked through the window, we didn't see anything. He was lying in the bed and looked like he was still asleep. Then, Ty walks back into the booth and surprises us because none of us knew he had left to go to the bathroom. Then, we heard Jerome screaming, so we ran into my room to see what was going on, and we found him like that. Technically, that is what happened. We're just going to leave out the part about the Tooth Fairy. We all nod our heads in agreement, even though I'm not exactly sure that's what I'm going to say. I think we should just tell the truth. Yeah, I know it sounds outrageous and crazy, but it's what happened. And if we all have the same story, why wouldn't they believe us? As we go plowing down the stairs to my parents' bedroom, the tears start to flow again. We bust through the door, screaming and yelling. Mom leaps up as soon as we get in there, but I have to shake my dad awake. What's going on? He questions as he reaches for his glasses on the nightstand. Even though he's out of breath, Darius does all of the talking. It's Jerome. I don't know what happened, but he's hurt real bad. We heard him screaming and then... He stops there, unable to continue and say the actual words. He's dead. I didn't hear anything, Mom replies. Dad jumps out of bed, tells us to stay there with my mom, then he darts out of the room and races upstairs. All I can hear is him shouting, "Oh my God," over and over. What's going on up there, Daryl? My mom screams. But he doesn't reply, and when he finally comes back downstairs, he has a look on his face that I've never seen ever in my life before. And now, all I can do is cry even harder. What in the hell happened? He asks. Darius blurts out, I already told you. We just found him like that. Who did that to him then? We don't know, he replies as Mom keeps asking what's going on, but Dad just continues to ignore her. So finally she gets up off of the bed and starts heading to the door, but Dad grabs her. No, honey, you don't want to go up there and see that. The boy's dead, he tells her, lowering his head. Dead? What do you mean he's dead? What happened? Finally I just blurt out, it was the Tooth Fairy. She did it. Darius shoots me an angry look, but luckily Ty and Marcus have my back and they jump in and agree with me. I try to tell my parents the story as best as I can through my sobbing and tears streaming down my face, and Darius, Lewis, and Frankie admit that they did see something, but they won't come right out and say that it was the Tooth Fairy. Then Dad calls the cops, and we all sit in the living room waiting in silence until they arrive. Once they get there, they can only question me and Darius because they haven't gotten permission from the other parents. They separate us all, and as I tell them what happened, they just stare at me, kind of with a look like they want to burst out in laughter at any second. Then they ask if anyone in the house owns a shotgun. My dad tells them that he has a pistol, but that he keeps it locked up in a safe in his room. They place it in a bag and take it as evidence. It doesn't take long for word to get around the neighborhood that something's going on, and pretty soon everyone else's parents show up. But the cops make them wait outside while they try to figure out what's going on. Once they finish questioning Darius and I, the cops escort Lewis, Frankie, Marcus, and Ty, along with their parents, down to the station to question them. Jerome's parents stay behind. They want to know exactly what happened. His mom comes storming into our living room and screams at me and Darius through her tears. "What did you do to my son? What did you do?" We tell her the same thing we told the cops. She looks at us like we're nuts and shouts, "No, you all killed him," and gets so hysterical that the cops have to escort her out. Although our families have been close for a long time, after this they stop talking to us and coming around, and then a friend of their family calls my parents and tells us not to bother even coming to the funeral. Over the next few days of us being interrogated over and over, just like Darius said they would, the cops try to accuse us and call us everything from a gang to a cult. They try to say that this was some type of initiation that went bad. And then they threaten us and say that they'll take us all to jail if we don't tell them the truth. As my dad stands there next to me in the interrogation room, arguing with the officer who's asking me the same questions that he has every time he's questioned me, I realize something. I don't know how it could have possibly slipped my mind, but with everything going on, I completely forgot about the camera. "Dad, I just remembered something. Your camera. We were recording. Everything that happened that night should be on video. But I didn't see it in the booth, so that means that the cops must have already took it." Dad looks at the officer and asks, "Did you find a tape?" "Yes, sir, we did." "Well, where is it? Go get it now, and that will prove that my boys and their friends are innocent." One of the officers goes to retrieve the camera, and then when they return, they play the tape for me and my dad. As I stand there watching, all I can see is Jerome asleep in the bed, and then he sits up and stares at the window to the booth with a frightened look on his face. Next, he screams, and his mouth just explodes. Then you can see us running into the room and just standing there, staring, first at Jerome's missing face, and then at the bedroom window in shock. The officer stops the tape there. "Oh my God," my dad whispers in disbelief. Then he suddenly gets angry. "You had this the whole time? You saw that none of those boys laid a finger on him. You were just trying to convict one of them, weren't you?" The officer replies, "No, sir. We were trying to determine what was going on in the video. When we first saw the boy, it looked as though only a shotgun could have done this much damage. But after talking to the coroner who performed the autopsy, he determined that it couldn't have been a shotgun because it would have left behind gunpowder residue or pellets, and the only thing that was found in him were some shattered teeth strewn throughout his upper body and a few broken shards that were stuck in his brain. That's what actually killed him. There's no type of weapon out there that could have done that type of damage without it being a grenade stuck in the boy's mouth, and if that was the case, it would have left evidence. And even if he was beaten up, there's no amount of force that could have pushed his teeth all the way up through his brain." The police say that the video clears us of any wrongdoing because clearly Jerome was fine one second, and then the next, he wasn't. They say it appears to be some type of spontaneous combustion or something similar to it. I stay home from school for a week after Jerome's death, but once I go back, I wish I hadn't. I feel all alone there. No one talks to me, and I expect Ty and Marcus to still want to hang out, but they keep their distance, giving me the cold shoulder just like everybody else. It's like they blame me for what happened too, even though they were there and saw everything with their very own eyes. Finally, after a few days, I find out that their parents told them that we can't chill or be seen together for a while until everything calms down. Louis and Frankie's parents tell them not to hang around with Darius anymore either, but they're not like Ty and Marcus. If there was a picture in the dictionary next to the word teen rebellion, a photo of those two would be right there. So the three of them get back together and start hanging out and talking again rather quickly. But whenever I try to even talk to either Ty or Marcus, things just aren't the way they used to be. There's nothing but an awkward silence between us now. Months go by without us talking to each other, and then one day at school, Ty just walks right up to me at recess. "I need to talk to you. It's important." I follow him over to the swings and sit down. I can't possibly imagine what he wants to talk about. Maybe his parents told him we can finally be friends again. "So what's up?" I ask. "I know we haven't talked in a while, but I didn't know what to do or who else I could go to." He reaches into his pocket and then holds out his hand, and when he opens it, there's a tooth lying in his palm. As soon as I see it, I freeze, thinking back to everything that's happened and how I always acted like I knew everything there was to know about the tooth fairy, but how I really don't know shit. With a terrified look on his face, he tells me, "I just lost it this morning. Do you think this is what she's been waiting for? Do you think she'll come back for us now?" After what happened to Jerome, Darius and I were on high alert for the first few weeks, and I assumed everyone else was too. We were afraid to even go to bed at night, fearing that she might come back and kill us off one by one. But she never did. And now that I think about it, maybe that's why she hasn't come back yet. She's been waiting for the right moment. And staring at the tooth in Ty's hand, I'm starting to think that this may be it. But instead of telling him that, I answer, "No, everything will be fine. She's gone. We don't have to worry about her anymore." "How do you know that for sure?" Before I can answer, Marcus sees us talking and starts making his way across the playground. Then he approaches us and greets me like absolutely nothing's changed. "Hey, what's up? What y'all talking about?" "I lost a tooth," Ty whispers. Marcus's eyes grow big and wide. "Well, you've got to get rid of it. Toss it in the trash, the bushes, or somewhere on your way home from school today." "Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea," I say, agreeing. "If there's no tooth to pick up, then she won't come." Ty says that he'll get rid of it today after school, and I can tell that he's feeling a little relieved now. After that, we spend the rest of recess hanging out, and we even sit together on the bus ride home. It feels almost like old times until we pull up to our stop and Ty's dad is waiting for him. We quickly move to separate seats before we get caught, and then we exit the bus and don't even look in each other's direction. Later that evening, while Dad's helping me and Darius with our homework and Mom's cooking dinner, there's a knock at the door. Dad gets up to answer it, and a moment later he returns with Jerome's parents. They apologize to us for being so angry and distant over the last couple of months. They say that the cops finally called them in and showed them the video from that night, and told them that there was nothing we could have possibly did, that it had to have been some form of spontaneous combustion, and it was just an unfortunate accident. There was a lot of hugs and crying after that, and then Mom asks if they'd like to stay for dinner, but they politely decline and say maybe another time. After dinner, I head to Darius's room, which he just started sleeping in again. He'd kill me if I ever told anyone that, but it feels kind of good to know that he was just afraid of the tooth fairy as the rest of us were. His door is standing slightly open, so I stick my head in. "Hey, you got a minute?" "Nah, not really," he replies as he continues playing the video game. Louis and Frankie are playing online with him, so they can hear everything that I'm saying. "Seriously, Darius, it's important." "Fine, come in, but I'm warning you now, it better not be nothing stupid or I'm gonna pound you." I close the door and lean up against it. "Ty lost a tooth today." "Okay, and I should care why?" "Wait a minute. I thought you said he wasn't talking to you, so how do you even know that?" "We weren't, but we just started talking again today. He thinks that since he lost a tooth, now she's gonna show back up." I never really thought about it like that, but maybe he's got a point. I don't think so, though. I think if she really wanted to off us, then she would have done it already, he answers with a sly smile. But even though he's trying to make his friends laugh and be funny by joking about it, I can sense that he's a little nervous. I pull the headphone jack out of the controller so that I can hear them through the TV and ask Frankie and Louis, "What do you guys think?" Louis replies, "Yeah, Darius is probably right. I think she would have got us already if she really wanted to." Then Frankie says, "I don't know." Darius cuts in, "Just chill out. He'll be fine when you see him tomorrow. Then that'll be the last time you have to think about any of this." I thought after talking to Darius I'd feel better, but I don't. Actually, I'm starting to get a little scared. The next morning, I can't wait to get to school so that I can talk to the guys. Marcus is on the bus, but Ty isn't. I don't think much of it because sometimes his mom drops him off on her way to work, but I was really hoping he was on the bus this morning so that I could find out what happened with his tooth. Because we aren't in the same class, now that means that I won't see him until recess. All day, I anxiously wait for recess to arrive, and when the bell finally rings, I grab my jacket and am first in line. Once we get outside, I search the playground for him. Then I spot Marcus standing over near the basketball court. I race over. Hey, have you seen Ty? He turns toward me, and that's when I see the look on his face. One of pain and fear. Didn't you hear? Hear what? I don't know if it's true, but I heard a couple of people talking, and someone said that Ty died last night. I shake my head. No, there's no way. He got rid of the tooth. Marcus just stands there quiet. He did get rid of the tooth, didn't he? No, his dad picked him up and took him straight home. I talked to him last night and he said he hadn't gotten rid of it yet. He told me he was going to sneak out later and toss it in one of the neighbor's trash cans, but I don't know if he ever did. I'm barely able to make it through the rest of the day. I can't stop thinking about Ty and just hoping that what everyone is saying is wrong. When school ends, I race to the bus and sit in my seat quietly until it finally pulls up at our stop to drop us off. That's when I see a police car sitting out in front of Ty's house, and my heart sinks. Forgetting that we aren't supposed to even be talking to each other, Marcus and I get off of the bus and start walking toward my house together. Just as I'm walking in the door, Darius, Frankie, and Lewis come strolling out, all three of them bouncing a basketball. Where are you going? Heading to the park to shoot some hoops. Hold on, have you guys heard anything about Ty? I ask, pointing toward the cop car sitting at his house. Nah, I didn't hear anything, but me and the boys skipped school today. Why? Did something happen? I'm not sure. Marcus and I head inside, and I'm just about to ask my mom if she heard anything. But if anything did happen, I don't think she knows about it, because she seems like her usual self. Then a breaking news report starts playing on the TV in the living room. A woman is standing outside of a house in our neighborhood. As the car in the background begins coming into focus, I can see that it's Ty's house. We have sad news to report today. Last night, a resident of this neighborhood, 7-year-old Tyrone Williams, who was called Ty by his close family and friends, passed away. There aren't many details surrounding the circumstances of his death, but what cops were willing to tell us is that it was very similar to how his friend, Jerome Evans, died only a few months ago. His sister discovered his body in the early hours of the morning and... She pauses there for a moment, and when she continues, she has a warning for the viewers. I have to warn you that what I'm about to report is very graphic. She found him lying in the bed with his face blown out. Unlike at the scene of Jerome's murder, there was no video footage this time, so cops need the help of the public. If you saw or heard anything, they're asking that you call this number at the bottom of the screen. I turn to look at Marcus, and that's when I see my mom standing behind us, staring at the TV holding her mouth. "This can't be happening," she whispers. Then she comes over and hugs both me and Marcus. I just stand there for a moment, taking it all in, and then finally I ask, "Mom, can I go to the park? I want to get some fresh air, and I need to go tell Darius what happened." "Of course, baby, but get your brother and come straight back," she tells me. Marcus and I leave and start walking to the park. We walk in silence for a while before finally I say, "I can't believe this. You know what this means, right?" Marcus glances over at me. "We all have to stick together in order to beat her." "Well, yeah, but it also means that whoever loses a tooth next is who she's going to be coming for." We get to the park and walk right onto the courts, interrupting Darius and his friend's game. "What's your problem? Get off the court," Lewis shouts. I ignore him and walk right up to Darius. "It's true." "What, that you're a pain in my ass?" "Yeah, I know. Now move it." Lewis and Frankie start to laugh, but I cut them off. "I'm serious. Ty is dead." "Wait, how do you know?" "I just saw it on the news. He died the exact same way that Jerome did." He calls Frankie and Lewis over, and we all huddle in the middle of the court as I tell them what happened. Just as I finish, Lewis says, "God damn it, she killed him." Then Frankie angrily throws the ball across the court and screams, "That bitch!" Suddenly I get shoved from behind as I hear a girl's voice yell, "I knew it!" When I turn around, I'm surprised to see a teenage girl, about the same age as Darius, with long black box braids, large gold hoop earrings with the name Aaliyah written across them, and 3 gold chains tangled together around her neck. Noticing that her pajamas are half splattered and speckled with dried blood, and tears are streaming from her eyes, it looks like she's been crying for hours. That's when I realized that I know this girl. I haven't seen her around in a while, and she looks a little different than the last time I saw her, mostly taller and older, but I can still tell that it's Ty's sister. Darius immediately goes into Big Brother mode. "Hey, keep your hands off my brother. He didn't do anything." She gives him a death look and says, "I know you all know what's going on. I just heard you say she killed him. Who did it? Who killed my brother? Because I'm gonna kill her. He died just like Jerome did, so I know y'all have something to do with it. And if you don't tell me right now, I'm gonna call the cops and tell them what I just heard." As we all just stand there staring at her and not saying a word, she shoves Darius this time and threatens, "Somebody better tell me what the hell happened to my brother. He was freaking out last night, and he wanted to sleep in my room, so I let him. And when I woke up in the middle of the night and turned around, I found him lying there with half of his face blown off, and my bed drenched in his blood. His teeth, they were all gone, and pieces of his tongue were sitting on my pillow," she tells us, fighting back tears. I stare at her in horror as Darius replies, Okay, just chill. We'll tell you everything." Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.